Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into some truly transformative source material. We've distilled a scientifically backed guide to fundamentally rewiring the brain's response to overthinking and stress. If you've ever felt stuck in a frustrating loop of your own thoughts, well, buckle up because we're about to uncover the exact biological mechanics of how to break right out of it.
Let's start with a feeling I'm pretty sure we all know way too well. Why do we literally feel breathless or even suffocated when we're overthinking? Like when you're trapped in that awful cycle of negative self-talk, you don't just feel bad emotionally, you actually feel a physical tightness in your chest. Your breathing gets shallow, and it feels like you're starving for air. Why exactly does mental stress cause physical pain?
Well, the answer, and really the whole core thesis of our explainer today, is beautifully simple, but honestly, it's incredibly profound. Just changing your breathing mechanics can actually organize your thoughts. And no, we're not just talking about taking a generic deep breath to calm down. We're talking about a true physiological hack, altering the physical mechanics of when and how you breathe to directly manipulate the way your brain processes information. Okay, let's dive into this. Most of us share this totally unconscious, harmful habit. When anxiety hits and that inner voice starts racing, we tend to process those stressful thoughts while exhaling. This exhaling inner voice actually shrinks your ribcage, restricts your diaphragm, and literally causes mild hypoxia, basically a lack of oxygen. It's sending a direct distress signal straight to your brainstem. On the flip side, consider an inhaling inner voice. Thinking while taking a breath in prevents vocal cord strain, pumps essential oxygen to the brain, and completely stabilizes your brain's metabolism.
Section 1. Trap of inner voice breathing. So let's look at how our natural instinct to process stress is actually physically hurting us. When you talk to yourself in your head, you're doing something called subvocalization. Basically, these are unconscious micro movements of your vocal cords, your larynx, and your tongue. It's a highly physical process. When you're stressed out and you subvocalize on an exhale, you are essentially tracing the physical movements of speech without actually speaking. This starves your brain of oxygen. It turns the simple act of trying to understand your own feelings into a physical pain signal that gets shot straight to your brainstem. It just creates this vicious, suffocating cycle.
Section 2. Organize emotions while inhaling.
All right, so how do we actually break this cycle? Well, we introduce a real game changer, the inhale labeling technique. This relies on a psychiatric concept called affect labeling, which is really just a fancy way of saying explicitly naming an ambiguous emotion. Like thinking to yourself, okay, this feeling is anxiety. But here's the trick. You absolutely must do this while inhaling through your nose. Why? Because that nasal airflow physically acts as a pacemaker for your brain. The actual physical friction of the air in your nasal passages syncs the electrical oscillations in your amygdala, your emotion center, and your hippocampus, your memory center. They sync up exactly on the inhale, giving you the absolute perfect biological window to sample and label what you're feeling.
And get this, research shows that the exact moment your brain's cognitive control center, specifically the right ventrolateral prefrontal cortex, translates a murky emotion into a concrete word, it sends a powerful stop signal to your amygdala. We are talking about a massive 50% drop in the amygdala's panic activity. Just by breathing in and giving your anxiety a name, you literally cut your brain's panic response in half. But, the inhale isn't the whole story. After you take that breath in, there's this natural, crucial pause right at the top.
Section 3. Reset brain with posture gaze.
Taking a deep breath naturally puffs out your chest and autocorrects your posture, right? And this brings us to embodied cognition. This is the proven scientific theory that your physical posture directly dictates your cognitive state. If you're slumped over with a rounded posture, it's drastically easier for your brain to access negative, depressive memories. But standing upright, which happens naturally with that deep inhale, stimulates your anti-gravity muscles, boosts serotonin, and physically blocks that depressive memory bias. Your physical scaffold is literally building your emotional state from the ground up. And there's another absolutely crucial physical tweak to pair with this. As you stand upright, you want to avert your gaze upwards by about 10 to 30 degrees. Looking slightly up acts as this incredible perceptual decoupling switch. See, when you're anxious, your visual working memory gets hijacked so easily by negative distractions around you. So looking upward physically disconnects your brain from all that visual noise, protecting your mental resources so you can just focus on organizing your inner thoughts. Okay, so we've inhaled, we've labeled, we've paused, and we've looked up.
Section 4. Look forward while exhaling. Now, we drive that momentum forward right into the exhalation phase. Think of your breathing cycle kind of like a computer processing data. The inhalation phase, that is strictly for input,
taking in air, evaluating information, sampling your environment. But the exhalation phase is biologically wired for output. Your brainstem's central pattern generators are literally programmed so that active movements, speech, and executing decisions all happen on the exhale. Which brings us to a super powerful cognitive behavioral therapy technique known as the integrated coping response. We use the inhale to restructure our thoughts, like we just talked about. But then, we've got to use the exhale to declare a positive intent or take physical action, whether it's thinking, I can totally handle this as you breathe out, or physically taking a step forward. Using the exhale for output sends a definitive, undeniable signal to your brain that the emotional processing is done and you are moving forward. And as that exhale leaves your body, we transition to the lingering effect of the breath.
Section 5. Hacking emotions via facial expressions.
Just think about this number for a second. 3,878. That's how many people participated in the massive 2022 Many Smiles collaboration across 19 different countries. This was not some small, isolated study. This rigorous, global experiment proved definitively that voluntarily contracting your zygomaticus major muscle, the muscle that pulls your cheeks up into a smile, actually generates subjective happiness. Your brain doesn't just smile because it's happy. It actually gets happy because you smile. It's a two-way street.
The really crucial point here is how these facial expressions completely reset your nervous system. Notice how smiling stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system via the trigeminal nerve. That simple muscular contraction physically expands your cognitive scope and lowers your heart rate, creating this profound sense of physiological safety. And check this out, opening your eyes widely. When we're anxious, our instinct is to squint and look down, right? It's a defensive posture. But voluntarily opening your eyes wide stimulates the brainstem's arousal system, forcefully shifting your brain out of that defensive avoidance and into approach motivation. You are quite literally opening yourself back up to the world.
Section 6. Lifelong habit for autonomic nerves.
All right, let's pull this entire anatomical journey together, because these aren't just neat little party tricks. They form a lifelong habit for your autonomic nerves, giving you a permanent upgrade to your stress resilience. Deep down in your brainstem is the pre-Boettinger complex. It controls your breathing rhythm. And what the source material reveals is that this complex has a direct neural superhighway straight to the locus coeruleus, which is your brain's main panic and alarm center. So when you breathe shallowly, you are constantly, unconsciously sending panic signals right down that highway. But when you consciously take control of your breathing cycle, you force a rapid bottom-up calming effect. You're effectively throwing up a roadblock on that panic highway right at its source.
So let's see how this all builds into one seamless, incredibly powerful routine. The anatomy of a breath. Step 1. Inhale through the nose and explicitly label the emotion. Step 2. Correct your posture and look up slightly to block out the noise. Step 3. Exhale while making a positive declaration or taking an action. And Step 4. Finish by smiling and opening your eyes wide. Seriously, I highly encourage you to try these 4 steps right now, wherever you are. Take a second to really feel the mechanics of it. You'll instantly feel this amazing boost in your interoceptive awareness, that conscious connection to your own physical state.
Practicing this sequence isn't just about catching a temporary mood boost. By consistently aligning your inner voice with your biological breathing mechanics, you are literally forging new neural pathways. You are building a permanently stress-resilient brain. You finally have the physiological tools to master your inner voice. So, I'll leave you with this thought to mull over. If a single, perfectly structured breath has the power to cut your brain's panic in half, what could you achieve if you breathed with intention every single time you faced a challenge?